Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Harmful Media Messages and Their Impact on Our Children. My name is Simone Knight, and I'm the Marketing Director for Informed Families. I'll be joined in today's webinar with my co-panelist, Peggy Sapp, the CEO of Informed Families, and also a substance abuse prevention expert with 30 years in child substance abuse prevention. We will also be joined by Daniel, her grandson, who is a media student, as well as a past RA in the dorms. He'll be sharing the perspective of what's happening on college campuses when it comes to media, social norms, and our young people. We will be first going over the first 3 slides, and then we'll be joining the webinar in progress where you'll be able to see all 3 of the panelists, including myself. So, who is concerned about media? In short, parents are concerned about media. Right now, media and its way to infiltrate our homes is one of the top concerns of many parents. We have children, teens, tweens who also have access to cell phones, tablets, video game consoles, as well as the usual, meaning their computer and their television. And it's a big worry about all of the media access that kids have, some of which you can see and you can participate in, and some where you're not around them and you have no idea what they may be accessing. So in today's webinar, we're going to talk about what you can do as a parent in order to sort of control that access, and how you can help your child interpret what they're seeing and make some sound decisions. Here's a cute little funny about how we use media today. You have a kid who's on the couch doing a myriad of things through his cell phone, and they all look the same to the outside world, but for him it says, you know, I'm doing all these different things. Are these people blind? Can't they see that I'm doing all these different things on my cell phone? And this is really the reality. So many of us wake up to our cell phones. It's on our nightstand. It's the first thing that we reach for to see who emailed us, or what event is going on, or what the weather is, or what did the news say. So it is really something that's almost become a part of us. Think about when you leave the house. If you realize you've forgotten your cell phone, most of you will return immediately because you realize you don't want to be without it. It is your access to the world, and it's sort of become a part of us, fortunately or unfortunately. Today, average teenager has almost 7.5 hours of daily usage with media. So we're talking about TV, computer, cell phones, those being the primary areas, but they're exposed to passive screens for most of the day, and this may seem like a big time chunk out of the day, but some of it is very interactive and some of it is just there for them to view. Maybe your teen is watching television at the same time as doing their homework, at the same time as even listening to music, and for them this is something that they can do without any problem. But to be aware of all of the access there is, and how much time your young person or your teen or your tween is spending in front of media is really important. And then you can set some guidelines about reducing that slowly, so that perhaps you can make that time more useful in terms of studying or even quality time with the family. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that no TV for children under 2 years old. Now, I am the parent of a 2-year-old child, and I will tell you that it is very difficult to keep television out of the view of your 2-year-old. Sometimes parents need that distraction just so they can run a few errands, or even to do something in the home, cook a meal, and they need to keep that child active. So sometimes they will put their child in front of television for a moment. Some parents make it a habit, but the overall point is that you don't want to have too much exposure to television, especially for a child that's under 2 years old, because of the brain development going on. There's been studies that have been shown that if you compare the brain development of a child who has had a lot of television versus a child that has not, there are less nanas, what they call in the brain, that have been developed in the child that is basically communicating with life through the television screen. Children need to see as well as to do in order to fully experience the world. So you really want to limit the hours that a child will have daily media exposure to, no more than 2. If you can keep television away from your child that's under 2 years old, and really help to control what they're seeing, what they're viewing, and giving them a way to experience the world that's more tactile rather than just watching it through a passive screen. Here are some of the behavioral problems that you can run into for children between the ages of 2.5 and 5 that have had a lot of media hours that they've been in front of the TV for just too much. So behavioral problems, poor social skills, and poor sleep, I think, are some of the ones that probably would come to your mind really quickly. I also want to caution you about some television, especially cartoons, that it's moving too fast. Dr. Peter D. Benedettis, who is a media expectancy and media theory speaker, and also co-author of the media portion of our our Parent Pilot Kit book, which you'll be exposed to later on in this presentation. He tells us that in the 50s, a scene would change every 8 seconds in children's television, and that's nice, slow media. Now, today's television, especially some of the cartoons, the scenes are changing every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds, and what that does is it stimulates a more primitive portion of the brain, which can lead to ADHD. So there is no coincidence that diagnoses for ADHD has increased over the years as exposure to television has increased. Our media and the way we are consuming it and how our children are consuming it is impacting brain development. So you definitely want to keep that in mind when you have your child in front of the television. How fast is the scene changing? How old are they? Are they between these critical ages of 0 to 5? And really be conscious of that. We're about to join the webinar in Already in Progress, where you'll be able to see all 3 of the presenters. I hope you enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you. We have a question from the audience here in the room, and you're a parent, and you're saying that what does Daniel advise as someone who is the acting parent in the dorms when it comes to drinking and behavior, right?
Right. So I think my parents had always set up a very good environment. It was never hypocritical either, where they told me that's how it goes, and I never felt like there was any leeway with that. And when I came in, they knew that they weren't there anymore. So there was an acceptance, and I always had good conversations with my dad about it. It's like, hey, you're gonna do stupid stuff. You got to be smart about it as you go through it, and you just have to know yourself. And there were a few times I think he'd either talk to me, or I'd have been up late for like a whole weekend, and he's like, how you feeling? Or like you just start to see the effects it has. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is, because I think it's a personal initiative that I took, was just to, hey, I'm going to get involved, but I know where my line is. And it's tough when you get into, it's not the drinking that I enjoyed or the drinking that people enjoy, it's the effects it has and the environment you're introduced to, so that I can go out with friends, you can talk to people. It's like a social
social norms.
It's about fun.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help at all, or does that make
I
any
don't
sense?
think there's a perfect answer. That's the hard part about this. We've always said if we could just give everybody some little perfect answer, that would be it. But it's to keep talking.
Number 4, things that parents need to know: set rules and be consistent. 53% of all 8 to 18-year-olds said that their family had no rules in watching TV. So, and the other half, 47%, that they do. So, and of course, the ones that do, are the rules even being enforced? So what does that really mean, rules about watching TV?
If I had to say, and I tell this to Simone, we're talking about the 2-year-old all the way up to this one. Why am I sitting here in the middle? No, here's the thing. Don't make rules you're not going to enforce. It's just going to frustrate you and them too, because then they know, and they know your hot button. Yeah, she just said that. She's not doing anything about it, right? So think about that. Don't have a whole slew of rules, but have some simple ways. And so we have for you a tool. I have to tell you, this tool was designed by my husband, an airline captain, because again, that whole idea is don't say it if you're not going to enforce it. So the thing is, you write it down. What's the rule? I don't care if you're going to let them watch 2 hours of TV or 14 hours of TV. Decide what it is with the child. Write it down. Why are you going to write it down? Because if you don't write it down, what do they say? Nuh-uh. Nobody told me. Have you not heard that? Come on. That's what they say. So you have to write all these things down, and then you post them up on your bulletin board. So you can stop talking about the same stuff over and over. That's what a teenager does. A teenager just wears you down.
So number 5, video games, fun or harmful? So there is a place in our lives for video games. Video games you can be used for education. My child uses apps on my iPad for lots of things, for reading, letters, counting, whatever. There is a time and a place for it, but then there's also a place where it can become harmful, where your child is up till 2 o'clock in the morning, or you are up till 2 o'clock in the morning, adults, playing these video games. Some of them are very violent. They have the advisory sticker on there for parents. for extreme violence and all of that, mature content. And those stickers really need to be paid attention to. There are some of these games that you can get for PlayStation, Xbox, wherever, that will allow you to shoot a police officer, walk over, urinate on them, and then set them on fire. And I'm not making that up. That's really a game. So you've got to pay attention, because some of these more popular games are very violent, and they can have adverse effects. Here's some of the side effects of having too much video game exposure. Poor social skills, of course, because you're basically sitting in the dark all day playing these games. Of course, time away from your family, low grades because you're not studying when you're supposed to be studying, and exercising less, and then aggressive thoughts. I think that's we can probably come up with those things off the top of our heads. I'm sure we may even, unfortunately, know some people that may be suffering from these. So think about what you have in your home for video game usage. Number 6, the World Wide Web. The web that we cannot get away from. People used to pass notes in class. Now we have Facebook with over 500 million users. If Facebook was a country, it would be the 3rd largest country in the world, behind India and China. Isn't that interesting? The country of Facebook. So it's something that is not going away. I think at some point some people may have thought that this is just a passing fad, but social media is here to stay, and it is definitely a part of our lives. And again, it does have a time and place, but you have so many people sharing very personal information on social media without any recognition of personal privacy. There are people who have been robbed based on what they've posted on Facebook. So think about that and have a conversation with your child about what they're posting.
My sister got the little iPod, you're not necessarily aware of, because you'd think, all right, this is just for music, or this is that, but everything's advancing so quickly, and kids are so literate with it that they can really do anything. And I finally did. She had the Instagram, and I called my parents. I felt like the worst older brother. And I'm like, hey, I just don't know if it's appropriate right now. And because you do see kids who, part of it is the inclusion piece, where your friends, your followers, it's just like, what can I do to bolster my online reputation? So I don't know, I think that is something in addition to video games and just TV monitoring to be aware of, and could be potentially more dangerous when you're talking about, my 12-year-old sister who has, people are weird. There were people following her who didn't know her, and I had that conversation with her. And, it's, as a 12-year-old, she's not going to be aware of that.
Here's a top 10, part of the top 10 list. This is number 7, internet acronyms and mobile acronyms that you need to be aware of. And for those of you that are asking about whether or not the slides of this presentation will be available for download, the answer is yes. After every presentation, the video recorded webinar is available on our website a week after, and you can get the download of the presentation as well as the certificate of attendance. So this list of internet acronyms is really key to understand some of this language that may be coded into text messages from your child. Number 8, what teens will admit: more than half of all American youth from age 12 to 17 use online social media sites. I think we're not really surprised about that. 62% of them do things online that they wouldn't want to tell their parents, and 64% of teens post content which share personal information. I mean, just something as simple as taking a photo in front of your house, you could be broadcasting your exact location. Phones have GPS locations on pictures where it's called geotagging. You need to turn that off on your phone and turn it off on your child's phone, so that whenever you take a picture and you post it someplace, it's not automatically broadcasting your coordinates, your GPS coordinates. So just something simple as that. Look at the phone. There's a lot of settings in there. I just got this phone and I was just completely amazed of all the stuff in there that it can track your location. So going down to number 9, internet safety tips. I think we've been talking about this. Make sure you know your child's friend list. Do they ever get messages from strangers? How do they handle them? You really got to ask these tough questions with your children to see what's really going on. We don't let some random 20-year-old grown man come into the bedroom of our 15-year-old teen to talk to them all night about sex and God knows what. So why do you let them do it on the internet? That's what they're doing. They're taking the iPad, the laptop, the Xbox that has internet access into their bedrooms, and you are not seeing everything that's happening. So by letting that internet in there without any supervision, you are letting some random stranger into your home. There's some websites here that you can use to educate yourself. And the last thing, it's not just them. It's us too. The parents are consumed by technology as well, and this is a great cartoon showing a mom on the beach with her Bluetooth earpiece, laptop on the nice umbrella. Meanwhile, there's a shark attacking some people in the water, but she's completely consumed and basically tuned out to what's going on. So it's not just them, it's us too. Let's also pay attention to when it's appropriate to be on the phone, the laptop, the whatever, and when it's time to give some me time, some face time to your children. Thank you all so much for joining today from across the country. We appreciate it. We hope to see you next month on our March webinar, which is on March 19th, all about social norms. And that we'll be getting into more detail about what happens during prom and graduation and celebrations and what we can really do to affect the social norms in our own home and sort of keep some of these media messages at bay. So that's on March 19th, and you can register for that now. So thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.